So Venom might be sort of connected to the Spider-Man Homecoming extension of the MCU. I'm DJ Wooldridge, and this is Screen Junkies News. So back in March, word got out that Sony was developing their own spin-off to the Spider-Man universe with an R-rated Venom movie starring Tom Hardy, as well as a Black Cat and Silver Sable movie. During this time, both Sony and Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige stressed that these spin-offs would not be a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But now, Sony producer Amy Pascal cleared up any confusion by making things more confusing. During an interview with Film Starts, both Pascal and Feige talked about the release of Spider-Man Homecoming. When asked about the upcoming Venom and Silver and Black movies, Pascal stated, quote, "Those movies will all take place in the world that we are creating for Peter Parker. They'll be adjuncts to it. It may be different locations, but it will still all be the same world, and they will be connected to each other as well. There's a chance that Peter Parker will appear. There's always a chance." So what's the deal? Here to help me clear up this intricate web of confusion is our very own Victor Torres. Hello, Victor.
Hello.
So what does adjunct mean? What is that? Nobody look it up.
I'm not going to look at the definition.
If you're playing at home, don't look up what adjunct means. I want to hear your guess of what adjunct means.
First off, adjunct to me sounds like a mathematical term, which I had to take like the requisite like college course for math like 3 times just to graduate.
Yeah.
So when I think of adjunct, I think of math, which stresses me out, gets me confused. And then I think adjunct professor. I think somebody who kind of comes along for a couple semesters and then leaves. So I'm not sure if this is supposed to be like kind of a stepfather-father kind of word. I would assume in the way that she's talking about it, adjunct is related to in the ballpark.
So that's your definition, is related to.
That's my definition.
I feel like it's a thing that's kind of like it's just adjacent and you kind of just put on there.
See, then I think of shapes, and that gets me to geometry, and my head is just like, I can't handle it.
Okay, here's what adjunct means. A thing added to something else as a supplementary rather than an essential part. Example, computer technology is an adjunct to learning. All right, sure. Okay, so according to Amy Pascal's quote here, the Venom and Silver Sable and Black Cat movies are kind of like a part of-ish the Spider-Man movies.
Which is really weird because up until this point, both Sony and Marvel have said, no, Venom and Black and Silver are going to be two kind of separate, or I'm sorry, they're not going to be a part of the MCU. They're not going to be, they're kind of being in Sony's own Marvel universe. Last week, Kevin Feige with Allison had actually even said, for now, there's no plan for Venom in the MCU. It's a Sony project. However, I will say, at this point, if Homecoming is successful, people already loved Spider-Man in Civil War. We know that he was in Civil War. Homecoming, we know he's in Infinity War. There's possibly he's going to be in Avengers 4. Tom Holland recently let it slip that there's going to be a Homecoming 2 and 3. So at this point, the Sony-Marvel deal, if it does well, they have no reason not to expand it and go explore other areas of it.
Absolutely. And so also recently, John Watts said that there will be after-credit scenes that people should not miss out on for Spider-Man Homecoming. Is there a chance that these after credit scenes might lay seeds for Venom and Black Cat, or Black and Silver, excuse me?
I wouldn't take it out of the realm of possibility, but I think it's pretty unlikely. He was actually interviewed by Fandango last March, in which he was asked about Venom making an appearance in Homecoming, and he basically just said, like, it's not connected to the Marvel world, so that's really intriguing what that will be. I don't know anything about it. It's not connected, so there's not going to be an overlap. So what we basically know is, at least from his standpoint back in March, is, look, I'm making my Spider-Man Homecoming, movie. We know that it's going to go into the MCU. We know that we're going to see Spider-Man in Infinity War. So I think at this point, I would imagine that the post-credit scenes are probably going to be setting up the MCU as far as like Infinity War goes, or maybe Black Panther or Thor. I don't really know that it'd be wise for them to start teasing Venom at the moment.
But on the other hand, like, if there's a couple scenes, wouldn't it make sense to be like, hey, here's an after-credit scene for Marvel, here's an after-credit scene for Sony's new movie, here's another one for Marvel, here's Sony's after.
I think that totally makes sense. I think, though, the issue then is, you were putting so for example, let's say that there's a Venom post-credit scene at the end of Spider-Man Homecoming. We know that Venom will be R-rated. So you're teasing an R-rated film in essentially a Disney movie. It is Marvel, but Disney owns Marvel. And so I feel like you kind of run into a little bit of trouble there, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. If it's going to be successful for them, they have no reason not to explore other avenues. So
is Amy Pascal just speaking out of school? Are we taking her quote out of context? Is there something here?
You know, I think it's kind of one of those things where she's saying, like, anything is possible at this point. You know, it seems like their deal up to this point has been going well, and if it continues, you know, who's to say that Venom won't show up maybe in a PG-13 Spider-Man movie or in Infinity War in another form in the MCU. I think it's essentially saying that she doesn't want to close the book by saying we're not including these characters at all in the universe. So
what is the way to incorporate these characters, you think?
I was thinking it'd be interesting, specifically with Black Cat and Silver Sable, not keeping them in Marvel television, but if we were ever to branch out where we would see Daredevil, Jessica Jones, or Luke Cage join up in the MCU, I think it would be kind of interesting to get Black Cat and Silver Sable introduced on one of those shows. Because that would also then connect with Spider-Man without it immediately being in the movies themselves. Also, this is kind of a cheap way, but you could always go like the multiverse route. Like maybe there's a movie where Tom Holland's Spider-Man interacts with Venom because he's been sucked into another universe or something crazy like that. But yeah, I mean, I think there are ways to do it. I really think that the biggest problem in trying to connect these characters at this point is really just the R-rated Venom movie. Like that's something that Disney doesn't really seem they want to get into at the moment. So we'll see though. I mean, you never know. You never know.
Our producer Justin has suggested that perhaps the Venom movie could take place in the future after whatever Spider-Man movies we're watching.
That would be cool.
Completely jump all those hurdles. But maybe. I'm assuming you're like me. You'd like to see these characters incorporated.
I'd love to see everybody. And I don't want to say like we just need to have all the superheroes under like one roof. But you know, if they pop into other people's movies every once in a while, like I'm okay with it. That just means more superhero movies, more stories we can tell, more variety. So it all excites me. It's just kind of how they're going to execute that.
Yeah, absolutely, Victor. Thank you for discussing this with me, and thank you guys for watching at home. We would like to know in the comments down below. How do you think Black and Silver and Venom should be connected to the other Marvel movies, or should they be connected at all? Please watch all these videos and enjoy them, and tweet us at SJ News, and make sure to subscribe to SJ News. Thanks for joining us.